The UK has seen its economy struggle for a long time, and while it wasn't reported to be in recession, its residents were already feeling the effects of a recession. Well, not so long after the economy of the UK seemed like it was in a recession, the UK was announced to officially be in a recession. This recession is real. However, due to a slight fall in GDP, it is considered very mild. Well, not everyone thinks so. However, this is a general notion. The GDP of the UK has decreased by only 0.4%. This is the reason many people believe this recession is mild. Well, folks who believe the opposite are strongly holding on to the fact that the UK's economy has gone through a continuous decline in the past 2 years. Although its economy seems to be growing, the income per person has been rapidly decreasing. This recession the UK is going through appears different from the others it has experienced in the past. This is quite confusing, but if you have a good understanding of economics, it isn't so confusing. You see, the population of the UK has grown over the years, and this growth is strongly linked to Brexit. After the UK left the European Union, it opened its doors to professionals from across the world. This led to a growth in its population, which many will consider a growth in the economy, but that wasn't quite the case. The population growth was bigger than the GDP growth, so we might as well say there wasn't real growth. You might want to argue with this, however, growth can't be said to have occurred when the standard of living is reducing. The size of a nation's economy might seem like a big deal in the global market. However, if there is an increase in the size of a nation's economy, but the citizens are not living well, it is impossible to say actual growth has occurred. Beyond the growth of people's incomes being a major yardstick for measuring growth, the ability of the government to fund public projects also has to be considered. How has the recession affected the average economy? There are various ways the economy in the UK has affected the average citizen. For starters, there has been a major reduction in purchasing power. This has led to a reduction in the quantity of items bought in the UK. Right now, supply is much greater than demand. However, it doesn't appear to be lowering the cost of items. This is strange, but it is just one of the characteristics of this recession. Furthermore, there has been a rise in interest rates, and paying off mortgages has become very difficult for households. The fall in purchasing power and inflation rates are bad, but it even gets worse. The industries are unable to perform at their optimum. This is terrible, but not many people understand how bad it is. You see, the inability of the industries to perform optimally might seem like a problem that only affects one sector. Sadly, that's not what it is. Beyond affecting the industrial sector, it has brought about a reduction in the supply of goods, leading to a scarcity of commodities that are supposed to be in ample supply. Has Big Mac come to the rescue? The UK might still officially be in a recession, but just the way the effect of the recession was felt before the UK was officially said to be in a recession, it seems the UK is gradually getting out of a recession. But most people have yet to notice. We will see more of this in a moment, but in the meantime, kindly like and share this video. Also, please subscribe to this channel to see more videos like this. If you love burgers, then you've got to love McDonald's. This is not because it is the only firm associated with burgers, but because of what you picture when you think of one. McDonald's is strongly associated with burgers, but its burger isn't like any you can get from any other fast food. It is branded and is known as Big Mac. The Big Mac is generally recognized for its distinct taste. This is quite a big deal. However, there is a bit more to the Big Mac. This delicious burger can be used as a yardstick for measuring inflation. This might be difficult to believe, but surprisingly, Burgernomics is real. The taste of the Big Mac is the same all around the world, but interestingly, the price of the Big Mac is different in various parts of the world. You perhaps do not have an idea that there is a difference in the price of a Big Mac if you have only visited McDonald's in one part of the world. But folks who have been to various parts of the world and have visited McDonald's can attest to the fact that the price of a Big Mac is dependent on where it is being sold. Although McDonald's is a global brand and offers the same service regardless of where you might be, there could be slight differences in the menu based on where you are buying one. In the United States, at some point, the Big Mac was selling for $4.79. This is very affordable in the United States. However, if the Big Mac gets sold for this same amount in a place like Kenya, it would be sold for 480 shillings. To an American, this might not be a big deal. However, to the average person in Nairobi, it is a little too expensive. The likelihood of anyone buying would be slim. You see, many folks buy the Big Mac when they're on a break. They do not plan for it or think about how much they will spend. They simply walk into a McDonald's store and buy a Big Mac. Now, if one Big Mac is sold for 480 shillings in Kenya, the average person will need to work for 2 days before they can afford one Big Mac. This might not seem like so much if you don't give it any thought, but really, only stupidly extravagant folks in Kenya would ever buy a Big Mac. McDonald's is aware of the fact that no one would buy a Big Mac in Kenya if the price tag associated with it was exactly the same as in the US. Going by this, the amount the Big Mac is sold for in Kenya is different from what it is sold for in the United States. To better drive home the point, selling a Big Mac for 480 shillings in Kenya can be likened to selling one for about $200 in the United States. Since the Big Mac is not sold for the same price in various parts of the world, you can be certain that McDonald's doesn't just fix prices randomly. There are a couple of factors that are considered before the price of a Big Mac gets fixed. Some of these factors include the income levels in the locality, the cost of ingredients, rent, and labor costs. So the cheaper the Big Mac is in a country, the weaker its purchasing power. Now, how does that affect the economy of the UK? The purchasing power of a nation's currency affects the price of a Big Mac in that nation. And when the price of the Big Mac in the UK is considered, it becomes quite obvious that the purchasing power in the UK has improved. This means its economy is better, and it just might be on its way out of the recession. Between the 27th of February 2023 and the 26th of February 2024, the price of Big Mac in the UK saw a significant increase. It went from about £2.75 to £4.49. Now, not everyone might understand the significance of this price increase. However, one thing it represents is that the purchasing power of UK residents has improved, which could also mean the standard of living could just be improving. Is the cost of a Big Mac the only factor that points to an improvement in the economy of the UK? Going by Burgernomics alone, some folks might not consider the economy of the UK to be improving. However, Burgernomics is not the only factor that points to an improvement in the economy of the UK. There has been an output growth. That's not all. Gross domestic product experienced a 0.1% expansion. The economy of the UK might not be where it used to be. However, it already seems like 2024 is going to be a much better year than 2023. And these figures are a welcome sign that the economy is turning a corner. Various growth indicators point to the fact that the UK's economy is growing, and if things go on in this direction, soon the issue of recession will be a thing of the past. There is still a lot of work to be done for the UK to fully recover. While recession concerns are disappearing into the rearview mirror, the longer-term outlook is still difficult, with the lagged impact of earlier interest rate hikes and chronic supply-side constraints likely to continue limiting the UK's growth potential. These were the words of Surin Thiru, Economics Director at ICAEW, an accountancy industry body. Not everyone might take the impact of the Big Mac seriously, but it is as real as an economic indicator can get. Over the years, it has accurately predicted various economic trends. Some of these economic trends include the Eurozone crisis, which occurred in 2012. In 2021, Big Mac in Greece was significantly higher than the world average. Not many folks gave this a thought. However, it was an indication that the Greek euro was being priced higher than it was. Well, this led to the Eurozone crisis. The Big Mac is an indication of an ongoing issue with the euro and could have been considered a fake, but it wasn't because in 2023, based on the Big Mac index, the Russian ruble was overvalued. Just a year after this, due to a decline in the price of oil and economic sanctions, there was a major dip in the value of the ruble. Well, if this doesn't mean anything to you yet, maybe we should consider one more scenario. In 2018, according to the Big Mac Index, the Argentine peso was overvalued by up to 25%. Not everyone knows how huge this is, but it is staggering. This was public knowledge at the beginning of 2018. By the middle of 2018, Argentina got into a currency crisis, and in the end, its currency lost about half its value. Why should the Big Mac Index concerning the UK be taken seriously? The Big Mac Index might be effective, but it isn't perfect. Beyond the factors that affect the prices of Big Macs in different countries, the Big Mac Index is not the only indicator that can be used to measure the economic performance of a nation. A country like India, with a relatively good economy, is not associated with high Big Mac costs. Among the factors that affect the price of Big Mac in India, there is more to the price of Big Macs in India than just its purchasing power. You see, India is very big, and due to this, the cost of labor is cheap. Cheap labor means cheap production costs, ultimately leading to cheaper products. Now, if we are to simply go by the Big Mac Index, we might as well say the Indian currency is weak, and that's why the Big Mac is cheap. However, as far as India is concerned, the price of Big Mac is dependent on the cost of labor. As imperfect as the Big Mac Index might be, it is an easy way to gauge the economic progress of a nation. And with this in mind, the UK is obviously going through a growth phase and might soon be out of recession. That's how much we have for you today. So, what do you think of the Big Mac Index as a measure of growth in the UK? Kindly let us know in the comment section below. Thanks for staying with us all the way. See you in the next video.